World of Matchups is back, everybody. Week number 7 in the National Football League. I am Dexter Reed at World of Matchups. On the other side of the glass, my man 50 grand, Spencer the Wiz from Blue Milk Boys Gaming, bringing the heat this week. Spencer, what's going on, bro?
Another week, another week of football. It's really,
Yeah,
and when I was a kid, obviously football is great, but I think when you're an adult, it gives you a different perspective. Like, how you see your parents love football so much, and you're like, wow, I wonder where that passion comes from. And then you go through the 5-day work week, especially at school sometimes, and you're like, wow, yeah, this is great. This is what it's all worth. This makes it all worth it. You know what I mean?
it's the healthiest, unhealthiest distraction in the world. It
Right.
really is, because after a long work week, I just want to be left alone and watch football. I want to go to church, praise the Lord, and then be left alone. And my wife, I'm fortunate, she loves football too. It's a win-win for me, but man, I gotta have it. And the weeks are just flying by, and I'm like, damn, it's already week 7. My goodness.
I know the
How
Raider
did
season's already over, but that's regular for me. That's
that's
nothing new
just
there.
just another day in Raider Nation. So let's talk about this big game. Chiefs at 49ers. First things first, Christian McCaffrey gets traded. We got to break this down a little bit before we go into the game. So it's the Panthers fire sale, which, you and I have been discussing CMC for as long as I've known you. And I've been saying, even on the show as early as last year, that the Panthers needed to trade CMC. You can get good value at running back in the 6th and 7th round of drafts.
Absolutely.
He's an aging star who is always hurt. He's missed 26 games since 2020. I would have gotten rid of CFC at the latest, the absolute latest during the draft, but they hold on to him. They hold out hope that Baker Mayfield and the Carolina Panthers would be decent this year. They're absolutely putrid. They get rid of Matt Rule, and now the fire sale is on. They give up a lot in San Francisco to get him, but they don't give up a 1, which I think that's a huge L that Carolina has to hold. I think they have to hold another huge L because they ate 30 mil on the dead cap for CMC. But I still think they won the trade. Down the line, you will see them get CJ Stroud. You'll see them get Bryce Young. They're kind of in the position that the Seattle Seahawks are in because of the trade of Russell Wilson. They're stocking up for the future. That GM is going to be out of there. They're going to get a new head coach, and they're building for the future, which I wish they would have done this a little sooner, because you might have even been able to get 2 1s for CMC. So that's the Panthers side of the ball. Conversely, the San Francisco 49ers, excuse me, I think this kind of reeks of desperation. I feel like the NFC is so weak. I know the Eagles are on the come up, but I think the Niners are better than the Eagles. I don't care what the record says. Their defense is better in my mind, and they're battle tested, and they have been to the Super Bowl more recently. And I think I like Kyle Shanahan a little bit more than I like Nick Sirianni, but I don't think they needed CMC. The Niners have 0 picks. They have mortgaged their entire future. They gave up a 1 to Miami. All they have is compensatory picks. They've got nothing. They may not even have a draft. So they're really banking on CMC coming in and being the linchpin. I think it's dangerous. While he's had a good start to the season, he's still very injury prone. I just don't see him fitting as a Niner player. I don't see bang, bang Niner gang when I think about Christian McCaffrey. I think Jeff Wilson and Elijah Mitchell, when they got back, mix in Debo, would have been plenty. Now you bring in McCaffrey, and it kind of disrupts the system. So a guy like Brandon Ayuk, who scored 2 touchdowns last week, who was eating and ascending, there goes his touches. You're going to take away some of Debo's touches. You're paying Debo a lot. You should make Debo run the ball as well. He's a super big threat from the backfield, but now that's all CMC. Jeff Wilson is basically droppable. Elijah Mitchell will be regulated to backup role.
Yeah.
I don't like this move, because if they don't win the Super Bowl this year or next year, or if CMC gets hurt, they're basically left holding their dick. And I don't know if they necessarily needed to make this trade. I think that they were on their way, at least at worst, to the NFC Championship game without CMC. Now you've mortgaged your future in the hopes that it will work out, kind of like what Denver did with Russ. Mid-season, new system, new coach, new everything. And I think the CMC that a lot of people think the 49ers are getting, it doesn't exist anymore. Christian McCaffrey, to me, is just a name. He's still good, but he's not scorched earth McCaffrey like he used to be. Now he's Christian McCaffrey. He's no longer CMC. His CMC days are over. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I am gonna push back a little bit because if I could handpick a team for Christian McCaffrey to be a part of, it'd probably be the 49ers. I mean, they have the best running scheme in the NFL other than, I don't know, like maybe the Titans or something like that, but they're a very old-fashioned football team. Feel like anybody who steps in, for the 49ers looks good. So as long as the guy can stay healthy, and obviously, that's a
That's a
big
big if.
contingency. But I think that's how any situation works. If this guy stays healthy, then they're good. But this reminds me a lot, not exactly one for one, but the idea of going all out reminds me of the Rams last year. Like they're going to be bad for a long time. I feel like,
Yeah.
coming up soon, if not already this year, it looks like they're already trending that way. But that's the price that you pay for Super Bowl runs. They're not easy. It's so hard to
I
organically
know.
build a
You
Super
say
Bowl
this all the time, and I agree with you, man. When you have the chance to strike while the iron is hot, you have to do it.
because it
So
doesn't come around. You're
it
never gonna
doesn't come
build a
around.
decent team and go to the Super Bowl. The Tom Brady's and the Patriots, they don't exist. I mean, just think about
You got
any
to shoot your
recent.
shot. You got
Look
to
at the
shoot your shot.
Seahawks when they
Yeah,
went to the Super Bowl, the Legion
I
of
don't
Boom and all
disagree.
that. I mean, it just
Hmm.
fell. It just falls apart. That's how hard it is to win a Super Bowl. And you know what? I'll say it right now. Even if the 49ers don't win a Super Bowl, I think it's worth it because not a lot of opportunities like this come around. It's a
Yeah.
gamble. I mean, that's part of sports is gambling.
No,
It's a chance.
I don't disagree. I mean, think about how many people my age, your age. I mean, there's a huge age difference just between us, but guys will never see their teams win a Super Bowl. Never
Yeah, I know.
in their life.
Ugh.
I've been fortunate that like when they bury me and I'm wearing my Mahomes jersey in the coffin, like I'm going to know that I'm going to rest in peace because I got one.
I want one
Patriots fans
too.
got six. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like
know. That's just being spoiled. I
nine
just
or
want
nine.
one. I
I
got to see
just
the
want
Cubbies do it,
one.
and that's
I
something I
just
can hang my
want
hat on.
one, and just one before I die. So, I do agree with the notion that you're saying. I just wish I felt a little bit better about it from the Carolina standpoint because they could have got so much more if they just released him
Well, yeah, they just
when
waited
we
too
they
long.
they waited way
They
too
wanted
long,
2
man.
first, and now they don't get any.
It's like a marriage that you know is not working out and you just wait longer to get divorced. I mean,
Yeah,
dude, you could have saved yourself however many much dollars, however many more wrinkles, however many much more heartbreak. Just pull the band-aid off and get it over with. The fire sale is on now, and I think the Panthers will be better off for it. Right now, I'd say it's probably 50-50 which way it goes, but only time will tell. But I'm leaning more towards the Panthers side of it. So this is a huge week for San Francisco, and this is a huge week for Kansas City. These are two teams that lost games last week that they probably shouldn't have lost. This is a season-determining game, especially for the Kansas City Chiefs, who are heading into a bye after this week. They cannot lose this game, and I think they're in trouble. And it seems like every time I say that, they go out and put on a show.
yeah.
I'm to the point where I'm determined that the Kansas City Chiefs play better on the road than they do at home. I think there's just too much pressure at home, even though they have the Arrowhead mystique. There's just a lot of pressure on Mahomes. They don't
There
run the
is.
ball. I think on the road, it is this us against them mentality, and they just execute better. They're more focused and they take care of business, as you saw with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game that I included, and a lot of other people thought that they were going to lose that game. They played their best game of the year. And so they're -2 in this game. I don't know how. I think at worst, this should be a pick 'em. San Francisco's getting all their stars back. Trent Williams is probably going to play. Nick Bosa's nice and he's going to be nice and healthy. The offensive line, their tackles in Kansas City, man. Boy, is Orlando Brown Jr. horrendous or what? This guy is wanting to hold out for what? The Chiefs should release
I
this
saw
guy.
the holes, man, in the early part of the season. You didn't
Horrible.
wanna believe me
No, Orlando Brown Jr. is terrible. The fact that this guy was threatening to hold out at this
because
point is absolutely
well, you know what
laughable.
happens when they're holding out? They're not at the team facilities working out, man. I mean,
He's terrible.
you have to be in the top shape of your life. These defensive ends every
He
year
is
are evolving.
terrible.
They're getting better and better. So
There's a
when you're holding
reason.
out, you're not working out.
Not working out, man. I mean, there's a reason at this point that I see Baltimore was willing to let him go, and I don't think this guy should be on the team next year, barring a monumental reversal of fortune. The left tackle and the right tackle in Kansas City are absolutely putrid. It's a turnstile, and so if Lucas Niang gets healthy at any point, that guy needs to plug in, and I would sit Brown because he's going to get Mahomes killed. that's a point of contention because that pass rush in San Francisco is coming. And they were absolutely embarrassed on the road. That was a trap game. You guys all tried to tell me. I didn't want to listen because I've been swinging from the defense of San Francisco's nuts, and I got played out. Marcus Mariota winning a game like that, I don't care where it is. That should never, ever happen. And they outclassed it for San Francisco. Now CMC's coming in. You know he's going to be part of the package. They're not paying all that and giving all that up to not play this guy.
That's
I
right.
think the Chiefs could be in trouble here. Now, again, Mahomes losing 2 games in a row, it doesn't happen very often. Having Harrison Butker back was huge. You saw him kick that 62-yarder last week. I do think Kansas City will be focused. I think the Travis Kelce factor is always on the table because there's no answer for him. But the Chiefs have to throw the ball down the field a little bit more. Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy have to run the ball for 4 quarters. When you look at the Chiefs' wins versus the Chiefs' losses, it's on paper. When Patrick Mahomes has to drop back 40 times, they're not going to win these games because there's no more Tyreek Hill.
Yeah,
You
it's too
need balance
predictable.
on offense, and that's what the Buffalo Bills had. They had balance. Devin Singletary is not great, but they continue to go to him, and he was eating up parts of the field, which allows Josh Allen to go scorched earth. That's what the Chiefs needed to do, and that's why they lost that game. They didn't lose that game because of that great, dreadful pick at the end, which was dreadful. The game was lost before that. The Chiefs need to be more balanced. If they get the balance, they'll eke out a quick win, a very, close win. The Niners, I say 2 or 3 points. The spread's 2. I'm going to take the Chiefs here to cover because they know they cannot go into this bye week with a loss, with 2 straight losses. They beat this team in the Super Bowl. It's close to being the same team. The X factor is Deebo Samuel. I'm not worrying about CMC. It's his first week. You have to contain Deebo. Trent McDuffie should be back. They should be rested. They should be focused. And I'm pulling and praying that Kansas City pulls this out. But I'm not very solid about it. I wouldn't put my money down on it this
Yeah,
week
this is not a good matchup for the Chiefs, I feel like.
at all.
I know that these teams are pretty familiar with each other, but man, you want to talk about thinking back to the Raiders game, how Josh Jacobs, just ran all over them. Could have
You look
won the
like
game if
Marcus
they didn't
Allen.
have
You look like Marcus Allen.
yeah. And then you throw in the best run scheme in the entire NFL in the mix. That's just a bad recipe because
Nope.
that's more running and less time for Patrick Mahomes to be on the field. And I'll tell you, the 49ers defense is not, is much better than the horrible Raiders defense. So if you
Yeah.
have a good run
And they're
game mixed
home.
in, at
And they're
home,
home.
I mean,
And they're healthier.
yeah. So it
I don't
doesn't,
like this.
but
I don't
then
like it.
every time we say that, it seems like the Chiefs then go out and win like
Patrick
42-10
Mahomes
or
turns into
something.
Superman.
But,
Yep. And
we'll
so
see. I think that you can't always depend on like factors like that. Oh, we're just going to assume, that Patrick Mahomes goes crazy. He could,
but
obviously.
it's what happens though. That's the thing, It's like if I'm betting with my heart, it's Kansas City -2. If I'm betting with my wallet, home dogs pay dividends, folks. If you're trying to make money, take the Niners. Take the
Yeah.
Niners. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a homer, man. I'm a football guy first, and I try to really analyze these games. And everything you just said is gospel. Like, how could you take anyone else? I think at some point, I do think just like the Super Bowl, I think the Niners will be up double digits, and Kansas City will have to have Mahomes magic to win this game.
Yeah, the scary part is that you don't have Tyreek Hill anymore. I mean, that last drive, I feel like really was significant in that Bills game. Now it was a pretty bad pass by Patrick Mahomes,
It's
but
terrible.
the
It's dreadful.
energy of that last drive. I mean, when the Chiefs got the ball in the playoffs against the Bills on that last drive, you just knew anything could happen because they
Mhm.
have two of the craziest playmakers in the NFL. And when you take one away and you still have a short amount of time, then you're like, okay, well,
Who's
who's
getting
going
the
to be the
ball?
guy? Because it's not that Tyreek Hill. Well, he did catch a pass on that last drive of that game, but it wasn't just that. It's the attention that he brings. Like guys
A
on the Chiefs don't
Tyreek Hill
bring as much
garners
attention.
so much attention that brings your safeties off the line. Your cornerbacks are now like, oh my God, I don't want to be the guy that's embarrassed here. And now he's
Yeah,
gone.
yeah.
He's gone. And so Travis Kelce can't do everything. He's an aging star. Who steps up for the Kansas City Chiefs? And this is what happens. I mean, and I still will always defend it being the right move, letting Tyreek walk. No one's worth 30 million. Jerry Rice isn't worth 30 million. So it's the right decision. but you haven't culminated that kind of relationship with another star outside of Kelsey. Mahomes does not have it with anyone else. It's
Not
just
yet.
that relationship's not there. It's growing. McCole Harmon has a bum heel. MVS was a waste of $30 million. They're in trouble. They're in trouble. And
Yeah.
so every time I say this, they go out and they prove me wrong. Prove me wrong again, fellas, because we need this W. If the Chiefs are going to be taken seriously at all in the playoffs, getting to the playoffs, even winning this division, this is not a game that you can lose.
No, definitely not. So I guess we'll see what happens. But this is a great game. This could be the game of the week for sure.
It's
Because
going to be game of the
it's a
week.
pretty like low like slate this week. A lot
Super
of
Bowl
pretty good.
rematch.
Yeah.
Super Bowl rematch. Chiefs -2 with your heart. Niners +2. Home dogs paid dividends if you're trying to get paid. Scared money don't make money. Let's